This episode is such a fun one. We invited Wyland Zabo to come on and be a part of Seek Purpose family. And he brought Brittany, who is a favorite of ours. She's been on the podcast twice before. You guys probably know all about her, but just in case you don't, she is a TikTok influencer that spreads the message of recovery. She kind of got famous by burning her wedding dress and throwing her ring into the ocean. And now some pretty amazing healing has happened. And this episode is all about that.
Definitely. I am so excited for you guys to listen to this message because it is an important one to be told. And reconciliation, period, within ourselves when we get sober and clean and dealing with our mental health crazies, like she brought that up a lot. You'll hear as well as Wyland and how he found his way and found himself through the most broken moments of his life. And yeah, finding the light and turning that into an incredible purpose-driven relationship that's on the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that it's not where it's going to be. It's going to continue to grow and evolve, and just hearing them embrace that in this message, you're going to love.
All right, let's get into it. You are listening to Seek Purpose, the podcast, where guests share how they have survived their pain, explored their passions, and found their purpose.
We are the platform that gives a voice to journeys of recovery and the opportunity to get inspired by those who have overcome their hurts, habits, and hang-ups.
You've found your pathway to recovery. Now it's time to find your pathway to purpose.
Subscribe to the show, join our online community, and become a purpose seeker today.
Before we hop into this podcast episode, we want to tell you about an amazing online celebration we are having for recovery, for sobriety, and for the people who have been supporting us all along the way. It is called Just for 24, and that is on April 24th. It's kind of like the 420 celebration that people who smoke weed have, except for it's for sober people and it's virtual because, pandemic. So if you guys want to get involved with that or find out more information, head over to just424.com, and all the info is there. You can even download yourself an event kit already. We're going to be posting more about that on the 24th of this month. We're almost a month away. I'm so excited.
Yay, that's so fun.
Thank you. All right, welcome to Seek Purpose, the podcast. I'm Brooke.
Hi, friends. I'm Suzanne.
And today we are hanging out here with Wyland and Brittany. I am so excited. You may know them as King and Queen, or Mom and Dad if you follow them on TikTok. And today we're talking about everything. I mean, you have had such an incredible journey. Suzanne?
Yeah. Yeah, today we're talking about finding purpose after reconciliation. Sorry, I got a little frog in my voice. We are so excited for this family and how they've come out publicly to share a story that many of us definitely have lived in recovery. Not saying that I know anything about, what you guys have gone through, but maybe a little bit. They are bringing hope and inspiration to many broken families. They're on the road to recovery. It's a really important story to be told, and we're excited to have both of them here. I say it all the time. Staying sober is, actually kind of the easy job, believe it or not. Staying married and staying reconciled and in recovery together that's the story right there. So we're really excited that you've come, Wyland. We hear so much about Brittany, but we want to get behind your story. So
yeah, let's get into it. Wyland, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? And let's start with how you and Brittany met, because I know there's a fun story behind that.
Go, baby, go, baby, go, baby, go. I know I got my TikTok live up here too. So he's like,
yeah. I mean, where do I start? I guess
where we met.
I had wound up in rehab. I think I was 18, 19, and so I got into my own, my own addictions as a young adult. And after rehab in San Jose, I wound up. I agreed to go to sober living, and that's where I met Brittany. There was a bunch of different houses, and we met at one place, the place where I was living. We had like a meeting and locked eyes on her for the first time, in a group setting with 20 other people or so. And I don't know, something about her stood out, and I had to get to know her. And I was, fairly reserved and shy as is, but just seeing her, I mean, even the first time I saw her, wanted to break out of my shell and step out of my comfort zone, and I did. So, and then, yeah, I mean, from there, it kind of,
we got kicked out.
We got kicked out. We were homeless for about like a week or so. And when I say homeless, I mean, we still had our phones, but like we would legitimately call.
Sleep in fields.
Sleep in fields.
In ant hills. You remember that?
Yeah. Ants crawling.
Like that's how the beginning of our relationship started.
And we were sober, other than the fact that we would drink. But
that's not so. Yeah,
well,
he never had a problem with alcohol. Yeah. So, but yeah. And obviously, mine is problem has always been alcohol.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, going off that was something that I never really honed in on until until more recently here. I was able to kind of see just obviously the effects of alcohol, but not to fast forward too much. I guess from there we got into a debacle, as we did many times. When she would be drinking, I'd be going to work, I'd come back, and we found some place to rent,
like a party house to move into. It's the worst place for us to move into, but.
And I tried to hold a job, which I did, and then I would come home and she, be day drinking. Then there'd be like a crazy party. She had,
some things he's gonna feel like, oh, I feel bad if I like mention that, but they know when I would drink, I wanted to kill myself. So there was an incident where I don't really remember it. I took a bunch of pills. I had to go to the hospital, and that was the next day. Like we kind of broke up that day.
Yeah, I washed my hands of her.
You called the police on me?
Too much. Yeah, called the police on her.
Yeah.
And then my mom ended up picking her up from the hospital and taking her to the airport, and that was bye.
Yeah, we said our goodbyes.
And then it wasn't. I don't know. This kind of shows my codependency. The fact that I have some issues with codependency. That's one thing that I've learned looking back on my story, which. Was maybe 24 hours later, I quit my job, bought a one-way ticket to Wisconsin from, Oceanside, San Diego, and started a new life with her, from there. So it was.
Yeah, literally like a day after I left, I had just I was a mess, a drunk mess, trying to kill myself. Like just, he misses me after one day. Don't get it.
I love the crazy. It doesn't make many of us who have those crazy stories. My husband met me at a 12-step dance, wasted, and he too canceled a trip all the way back home to Ottawa, and he just had to have this crazy 30 years later. Like what? But that is really important to talk about because codependency does play a lot in recovery relationships. And, it sounds like that's part of your journey. And what happened? What was the moment that, because we all obviously know with every, 1 point, how many million people seeing Brittany burn her dress and, out with him and all this narcissism and all the rest of it. But before all of that she shared that publicly, what was going on? What was your breaking point to really be like, something, I'm walking away?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. It took probably, up until, 2 years ago, when, it was so.
I mean, we were sober for a bit.
We were sober for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had our daughter.
Years.
And then life was beautiful. And then for some reason we trickled into starting to drink again.
Because we didn't think we had a problem. Like, I think he knew, he kind of always knew it was a problem for me, but
I always assumed like I could contain it, I could control it, like as far as like, okay, but if you're with me and we're drinking, I can make sure that I'll know when you can cut it off, and I'll be able to control that for you and help you with that. Like, which
that's cute. That's really cute.
All of that behavior came
because selfishly I didn't want to stop drinking too, and I felt like okay, and she's fun. She's one of the most funnest people in the world when she drinks. I mean, minus the aftermath, and and everything that comes with that. But she is, her personality is as is. I mean, everybody loves her, as you can see. Now enhance that by 5 when she drinks, and she's the life of the party. I mean,
but so, no one ever got to, like, a lot of my friends didn't even know I had a problem with drinking because I was very careful about I really didn't go out much or hang out with other people because I just wanted to drink at home by myself. And not a lot of people really actually got to ever see me. Really, no one really got to see how bad it was, like, besides him. So when it came to the point where he was trying to tell, like, my friends, like, you guys, Brittany has a drinking problem. They're all like, no, she doesn't. Like, you're crazy. You're controlling her. Like, all my friends, were on my side. They hated him. They were like, let Brittany live. And then finally, when I finally moved out, my friends got to see it too, and they're like, oh, okay.
Leave Brittany alone.
Yeah.
So as far as the breaking point would have been coming home after work one day, and it had started to become the event, I remember describing it as the episodes, like the issues that we would have with her drinking. They started to become closer and closer and closer together. So, I'd go to work for a week, and then one of those days out of the week, I'd have to come home early, or, because she was day drinking and the kids were, so on and so forth. And then that week, then twice a week, 3 times a week. And it was just, and it got to one point where I came home and she wound up, we got into an argument. She wound up, how do I say it?
Taking a bunch of pills.
And I called the 911 when I took the kids to the neighbors, called 911 and saw the ambulance, the fire department come and legitimately take her from the bed. And I didn't even think to put clothes on her. Like, I was just but she was just naked on the bed, and the fire department had to come, and I had to watch, and it was literally like I was watching them take my wife's dead body out. And instead of, that was the point that made me decide, okay, something needs to happen here. And I wasn't thinking rationally. I mean, I was scared. I was not trying to make excuses now.
You were smoking weed at the time.
I was also smoking weed at the time.
And so that's one thing, since, talking about recovery and all this. So, weed was a huge problem for him, and and it's not ever been a problem with me, but I've seen it affect him, and I truly believe that you can become addicted to it. It can make you,
for me at least.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've seen that with you. I mean, I think it being legalized and so many people using it, I think people tend to not really consider, it can actually be a problem. You've had a near-death experience from it, crazy stuff. But anyway, sorry. I'm gonna just say this right now. We clearly have 2 different personalities, and so I will whenever we go live, everyone's like, "Oh, what's wrong? He looks so sad. Oh, you're talking over him." And
well, she just takes charge, and then when she does, I just sit back and go, okay.
But so I'm gonna try to listen as best as I can. Quiet. Okay. Where did I interrupt?
I don't know. I lost my thought process.
It was that night. You called 911. They took me away, and you were talking about where was your thought process in that? My
mind's okay. Something needs to change here. I don't know what. Terrified. I know these kids. They're not in the safe. I don't know what to do. And so, obviously, that's when it turned into, okay, contact an attorney, and then the attorney, you need to divorce her. You need to do this, and it was like, okay, shit, holy crap, okay, whatever you tell me. Never once, you need to help her. You need to do this. It was just one thing after the next, and I just, okay, this is what they're telling me to do. I'm going to do it. And then one thing led to another. I mean, fast forward through all.
Well, so that time when I was in the hospital, you ended up filing for divorce.
Right. And then I remember, obviously, in my head, that was the last thing that I wanted to do. But then with the mindset that I was in, and I guess the issues that I had too, I kind of told myself, well, I could use this as an ultimatum. And looking back on it now, I see how how ridiculous that tactic would have been for anybody, and for me to consider that. But I did. I legitimately had the paperwork filled out and didn't turn it in, and then I presented it to her. And I was like, you know, when she came back from the hospital, from the psych ward, I told her, I was like,
no, it wasn't a psych ward that time.
Oh, not that time.
Yeah, not that time. You tried to get it. The doctors were like, yeah, your husband's here. He like really wants you to get committed to the psych ward, but we don't feel like you need to go. It was bad because he's the only one who got to really see me, you know, when I was in my drunken crazy fits, you know. But
I think it sounds like, you know, when you're in that situation, when you are dealing with a partner that is an addiction, and Wyland, I can really relate because I was in recovery trying to raise a family, and my husband didn't drink and drug. He had actually a gambling problem. And it was just, he changed so dramatically that I did act out of fear and did and said things and really crazy stuff. You know, gave him $20, kicked his ass out. You know, it was just, I tried everything at that point to try to help him, like everything, like codependently, like, you know, I for sure have shared that journey. And we don't have all the right answers until, you know, the greatest part of your story that I've heard now since you guys have reconciled is how you got to that broken moment, didn't do all the things right. Things were hanging all over the place. It felt really icky. And then you got to a place, obviously, that you realized she's not there anymore. I got not her to blame anymore. Now you kind of looking at yourself. Take us to that place that you were finding that, wow, like I need help.
Yeah. No, that's a good point to bring back. So, I mean, that was, I guess you could say at the point of where, you know, from day one, when she left is when it really hit me. As far as like the reality of things, I was terrified and that of just being alone, being lonely, being, you know, I identified myself as a family man, a father, a husband, a good husband. And that's what defined me as an individual. And so when I got to that point of having that stripped away, okay, I'm still a dad. Everything in my head, I never asked to be a single father and raise these kids like by my own. Like it was just a frustrating, you know, situation. And then the one thing that I wanted, like I'm first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a good husband, and to have that taken away really made me have to reevaluate self and my own identity, and in doing so, I was able to see flaw after flaw, you know, and just brokenness and deep in my heart. So yeah, I started to, you know, lots of different resources that I kind of went through, you know, therapy being one of them, especially. And in doing so, I realized, and I continue to see every day, you know, as we go by, it's a process. It's not a flip of a switch. Slowly and surely, I'm on that path to, you know, despite my kids, despite my wife, despite our situation now, which I'm so blessed for, my goal is to become a wholehearted man and to continue to strive for that every day, because I know that 2 years from now, I'm still not going to be at that point. It's going to take every day, you know, for the rest of my life to get closer and closer. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that's helped me kind of humble myself in my own. Yeah.
That's so incredible. Brittany, you came on our show the first time talking about your divorce. The episode was actually called Seeking Purpose After Divorce, and you're going through this journey. The second time you're on, you're with your mom, and you're talking about you know, doing co-parenting, and that it was going really well. And I guess it went really, really well, because now we're seeing you guys back together and reconciling your family and healing together and recovering together and starting this new journey back together. How did that come about? Like, where did that start?
I want to go back and listen to my first one with you guys, because I bet I was talking like major shit about him. I really tried not to, but like I was so full. You can tell by my videos, like I was so full of like resentment and anger and like all of it. But so I think, okay, so when it was all really came about was, we didn't talk for 6 months. It was court order. We couldn't even, we had to speak through a court order messaging system because it was that bad between us. And then just one day on Thanksgiving, I dropped the kids off, and like for months, all I had.
That court order, like it fizzled out. And so like she would text me something, and like we would kind of go away. Like it wasn't so mandated, like but at the same time we chose not to talk for 6 months basically. So it was kind of also our choice. So
because I always wanted to get along with him. I always wanted to stay friends. I always wanted to, but him, he's like, like if I can't have you as my wife, I want nothing to do with you. And
abstinence, that's called.
And that was so hard for me. Like I couldn't, that was the thing what made like at the beginning so hard for me. Like when I started TikTok, it's almost coming up on a year, but like, during that time, that was like really when we first like actually cut everything off for sure. Cause we'd been back and forth, and obviously when you're in sobriety, you don't really like, I wanted to make sure my brain was in a good place. And I just knew even at 3 months sober, like it still didn't feel like totally back to normal. Like I wasn't fully myself. I mean,
when we started to try the last time.
But yeah, so on Thanksgiving, I dropped off the kids, and he like looked at me, and I was like, oh, here we go. So I got my phone out because I recorded all of our conversations, because some of them got pretty nasty, and like I didn't know if he ever tried to take the kids from me again, like I wanted to make, like, he doesn't have the alcohol, that was the only thing ever against me. But I didn't know like if really that was, if there'd be other reasons. And so I got out my phone to record our conversation. He was like, come here. And I went over and like, I gave him a hug. And, I remember at the time, like, I didn't feel like it was like, oh, sparks, like we missed each other or anything. But I was like, okay, like maybe this could be the start of something good. And then didn't we like sleep together that night? A week?
No, it was like, that's so.
I know, that's so.
Come on.
That's really sure, but I mean that's the reality of it.
Like, no, it wasn't. We gradually went into that, but
so like
and we felt
2 weeks after Thanksgiving. It was
And you have to remember, like our relationship, going back and looking back. I mean that we didn't like. Okay, I didn't want it to be a foundation of intimacy and sexuality, but that was a big part of our relationship. And then obviously we've realized there's so many other factors and aspects to a relationship that we neglected. And so we started to build on that, but yeah.
A girl needs what a girl needs. What can I
so, and then I don't know, it was still like we were on this co-parenting mission now, like even for a while, and then we like eventually started getting a little closer, and I don't even remember like how it all happened, but eventually one day I remember like I remember one time we were laying down, and he apologized. He said, I'm really, really, truly sorry for hurting you. And he kind of like pointed out the things that he did that he wishes he could have done differently. And a lot of that in that aspect was, not getting me help when I needed it, and not being there for me when I needed it. And, to his defense, I wouldn't know what to do. He's in his position either. It was a hard position to be in, dealing with someone like me and everything that was going on, but he like truly apologized. And I remember like after he apologized, I remember crying, and I don't know, it just like really finally hit me. Like I really felt, I really believed him, and I really, trusted him, and that he really did feel sorry, because for so long it was all my fault. And, it would be said to me, like, just like that, like, this is all your fault. You did this to us. You did this to our family.
Well, she okay. So she tends to dramatize.
Yes, I do. I'm very dramatic. So you guys haven't noticed yet.
So if I could put my input on that. what I did before, which is something else that I learned obviously about myself, and flaws, is what I did before was, okay, I'm sorry that I did that, Brittany. Like that was wrong of me. But, and I would circle it back to, but like you're crazy. Like that, what you did was that's not cool. Like it was like a run-on sentence, you know. Okay, I'm sorry, but you. Like,
yeah, he would apologize, but then make sure that he was only doing those actions because of something I did, right. And you know, it was always coming back on me.
And we've talked about this before, but really, it took losing her to really, again, and go through that process of learning more about myself to be able to apologize to her without any strings attached, you know. Without,
yeah. And then, you know, it's just, I think being around each other enough, I think we both like saw the growth and you know, the healing that we had done in that year. And you know, I really hadn't dated at all. He didn't really either, you know, because I didn't want to date my first full year of sobriety. And it was like coming up, and I'm like literally like was like, no, I'm not dating until I've got 1 year sober. And all of a sudden it was like coming up, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't want to date anyone else. Like I want to hang out with him again. And just, you know, we started just spending more time together and as a family, and we tried to be really cautious about the kids because we weren't for sure, you know, at first what this was going to be, and so we didn't want to kiss in front of them. And then just one day I remember we were sitting on the couch, and I looked at you and I was like, okay, so if we're going to do this, how are we going to tell TikTok?
That must have been like a really tough decision, because you made that platform, like you started it by burning your wedding dress and throwing your ring into the ocean, now to come full circle within a year.
Major shit. And that was, and I'm not even kidding you, like TikTok has changed my life so much. And like, oh, I could just cry about it because those people like love me on there, and you know, all the amazing opportunities that have come from it. You know, my job and the amount of people that I've been able to help from sharing my story. And I was like, you know, it like got to a spot there where I was like, I don't know if I can have TikTok like and my marriage with him. I didn't know because I didn't know how I was going to explain this all, and like yeah. And then when it finally came down to it, you know, there's some people that right now still, just even today, like major hate people about us, like think just the absolute worst about us. And we'll like make videos giving advice. Just one today, you weren't taking it probably, but I was, you know, a year is not enough. And a lot of people,
I think that's, go on, sorry.
Oh no, I get it. You know, like we've been through a lot, and but I also think it's really important that everybody knows that what you heard from me, yes, all those things were true. All those things happened. He said all those things. He did all those things, but it was very, very one-sided. You know, you know, I explained one situation, but no, I didn't explain the fact that I spit at him in the face first. You know, and it's just a lot of things that it was very one-sided. And I think we were both ready and gotten to a point that we were both ready to take, you know, full ownership and action for our or for ownership and accountability for our actions in the past, and really move forward. And honestly, like that, I was blown away by the positivity. I really was. But still, that first night, like, thousands of amazing comments, more than I even could have imagined, that people were so supportive of us. But there were a few that were like, you know, like a 1/20th of the percentage. Not now, bestie. You know, just that were really bad, you know. And I don't know if I'm sure a lot of other creators are like this, but like, you can get all those positive comments, but you're still gonna just you can't stop thinking about that one negative one. And so I was up all night, you know, thinking like, how are we going to address all this stuff? And I had all these plans to make all this stuff. And then it kind of like soothed over. And, you know, I've had to explain a couple situations and, but
I think that's great. The one thing we realize is when we come into recovery, you know, everybody around us generally knows that we're not all there. Like we come in so broken and we start growing and changing. But the stigma of the fact that once we come in, that there's not just as much healing and change that's required within our relationships. And we don't talk enough about it. That's why I was so excited to, you know, have you come in so early in recovery, taking a platform like you did in regards to sharing your everydays, and then having you come back in January with your mom, because a lot more to just your story, because there's mom, there's your family, how your mom's dealt with it. That was a portion of the story that was really important to be told for the people that may not understand this journey of recovery. And I remember you being there, and I just, for myself being in recovery a while, the transition that happened with the way you spoke of actually Wyland from the beginning to the second time you came, was the grace was starting to come in. You were starting to thaw. You were starting to really experience a different side of your recovery that happens in the first year of changing and growing. And then to see you guys together, I was just thrilled. But a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they think that he's this, you know, once a cheater, always a cheater type of attitude. And Brooke and I were talking about that before. And that's really not the walk of recovery. You know, recovery is all about reconciliation with ourselves, our spirit, our creator, and our families, our children, our partners, you know, and having that story and how much courage that you guys have taken to come out publicly to share that. Like, I'm obsessed.
She actually called it when you were here last time with your mom. She was like, "Oh, I hope they get back together. Yes. Wouldn't that be amazing?" And then like a couple months later, we're like, "Ah." So
the first day you came, the first time you came, when you were talking about your story around your relationship, I said to her afterwards, there's still love there. I could sense it, recognize it. There was definitely, as you were sharing your story of what your relationship was like, I could see the wheels spinning. You know, you started, because in recovery, we start tending to get out of ourselves and looking at the way we really are once we're sober, you know, and you're kind of like, whoa, that poor guy. You know what I mean? The wheels are starting to turn. Yeah. What do you think?
That's what called me crazy, because I kind of was crazy, like, you know, and I don't know. It's so crazy. I look back on all these videos. I made all these videos like, oh, girls, like they will never change, you know? And it's like, I keep all my old videos up there, but because it really was an important thing that I needed in that time, and everything I talked about, you know, I think really is, you know, educating, because I wish I would have known about some of these behaviors, you know, earlier, because honestly, you know, the jealousy and the controlling behaviors were kind of always there. So that's something that we both too. You know, we didn't really have a lot of other friends. We were very codependent on each other. You know, we didn't do anything individually. So this is why this time around, it's really so different. And we, you know, we have time apart now. We both get to do our things. And, you know, they're obviously now with having our whole life out there for a lot more people to see, you know, there's more people that can cause more jealousy. We've had a couple like issues, you know, that we both had to get through. You know, thankfully, like none, you know, we saw other people during our time apart, but thankfully nothing wasn't like super serious. But, you know, we had this issue with this one of the, can I say it? Do you care? I don't want to go, you know, what?
Yeah, whatever. You can talk about it.
I like, there's this one girl that he saw, and he told me that, you know, he actually did have like feelings for her, and what did you say?
She didn't have feelings for me.
No, that she checked all the boxes and like could basically be the new Brittany, which I don't like how that sounds, because I don't like the fact that he was like trying to replace me.
And I didn't like my mindset where I was at that time either.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah, and that's just how, you know, I don't like how I acted too when I was feeling, you know. So it's what we did. We both did things we weren't proud of. But anyways, she, you know, ever since we announced us back together, she had like wrote him this text like saying all these terrible things about me and how I'm this how could he want to be with someone like me? And I was like, excuse me, does she know who she's talking about? Like, does she know? And I had asked him, I said, hey, you know what? Since you did have feelings for her, can you please unfollow her? I would not ask him to follow friends that were girls, even other girls that he saw, but this one in particular, because he said he had feelings with her, I was like, you know what? Please just unfollow her, you know? And I don't feel like that, to me, is that it shouldn't be like, she was like, that's a huge red flag that she asked me to unfollow me. And you know what, if he asked me to unfollow anyone or not talk to anyone, I would do that, you know. And it's not like we're saying we can't talk to other people. It was just this.
I think jealousy is like one of the hardest things in a relationship, for sure. You guys are not alone on that journey, especially in recovery. There's a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of growing that we need to do. And yeah, you guys are doing the work though. And so I know you're going to get there. I really want to know, Wyland, what is it like for you stepping into the social media spotlight? Was this something you've wanted to do? Do you enjoy it? Is it kind of uncomfortable for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so I've always done, you know, my Instagram and my art, if you want to call it that. And I've always worked on that. That's always been my like little side hustle, my passion. So, but to step into it on this level, like I wasn't expecting that, and then the positive feedback, it's been good. But at the same time, like it's been a lot. I've really had to compartmentalize. As far as, okay, like, first of all, I'm not getting involved in this, like, you know, like in drama, like when it comes up, and sure, I'll listen, and like, but I'm not, you know, I have to compartmentalize, like realize like that's not for me. And like with the social media.
And you had to really ask yourself at one time too, because I made it very clear to him, this is my new life, you know, and it's a lot. I share everything. This is what I do now, and I really like it. This is the happiest I've been. And I built this whole thing by myself. And it got to a point where, you know, you had to ask yourself, like, do you really want to be a part of this?
Right.
You know?
And yeah, I mean, as far as that, like, I guess it was just one other thing. Okay, just another challenge, another thing that doesn't really matter. It's her, it's our family. Like, that's what that prized possession was. Like that end of the goal, that, you know, that I'm going to continue to work for. Obviously, once we started to, you know, kind of progress towards restoring our reconciliation.
Yeah.
Reconciling.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Our relationship on there.
It was
just one more speed bump for me, as far as, okay, social media, like,
it's hard at times.
Noise,
we still get the comments in there.
Yeah.
You know, just on the way over here, he's like, that one guy. There's this one guy who really doesn't like us, and I don't know why I haven't just blocked him yet. Like I should, but he's really not a fan of us at all. And it's like, I just don't get why people like, why do I have to block you? If you don't like us, just stop watching us. Like, it's just scroll on. But I like, my prized possession is my block list. Like, all my friends are like thousands of people blocked. I have like literally only 7 people on my block list, because I will like work things out with people. I will go out of my, you know, it's like, you know what? It's not okay to talk to. You know how my clapbacks are. I try to make sure that if I'm like responding to a mean comment, it's in like an educating way, and with kindness, because that's just how I am. They were asking you the questions, though.
You know, it's interesting how you guys have been paired, because, you know, obviously your personality, Brittany, is just so vivacious, and, you know, beautiful in spirit. And obviously, Wyland, you see that. And what a great match, because when I look at the both of you, I just see such a supportive, you may be a little bit more reserved and quiet, but you just have such an ability to be able to give her the stage. And I see the way you look at her, and it's pretty, pretty awesome. Just being proud of, you know, who she is and letting her go, letting her be her, really. I mean, just.
And going back with the thing about social media and what we do now, it's like, so I like, obviously I love all this. I love the TikTok and taking videos, but he always has too. And it's like, now we, you know, do that together, and he brings his 2 cameras everywhere and I bring my tripod everywhere. And it's really fun.
And we kind of combine our creativity skills. Like, so we'll be like, well, what about this and that? And then like, now it's, you know, it was like before, like we would, you know, I had my art and this, like, but it was so separate. Like for some reason I didn't want to. He
only took pictures of like, he only did like drone, like shots of the ocean and the landscape. And that was his thing. And I only wanted pictures of me and the kids. Like, why would you want your husband in there too? So it was very different.
The cool thing about that was I guess through the separation and getting to know myself and feeling more comfortable with myself. And then what I did, which was kind of, you know, her way of healing. My way of healing was, okay, I'd go out and surf, and I'd surf every day. Like anytime I was feeling, especially if I was feeling, you know, pain or like something, I would just go out and surf, and I'd bring my camera with me. And so it got that stage got me to a point where I was able to feel more comfortable with myself. And then I started like making videos, like never be in a million years would I say that I'd have a selfie, like take a selfie or a picture of myself. But then I started to get to that stage where like, okay, I'm gonna make a video and it's gonna have you know, a clip of me, and that was new to me. And so that kind of opened the door to my creativity, like my mindset, and it kind of breaking out of my shell. And if that didn't happen, like now where we're at now, as far as being able to kind of work together, and then me being on camera with her, like that would have been no bueno back before. So all these things happened and like fell into place, you know, during the worst part, you know, darkest valleys and the most pain that I felt. Like all these things still happened and fell into place just at the right time. And then where we're at now, like, you know, it's just like that puzzle was getting put together piece by piece without me even knowing while we were going through it. So
that last video, I just knew that you were a piece of that. The one when you're following into the pool, into the bed. Did you have a piece? Yeah. Did you guys both have a piece of putting that together?
That clip, that transition was him. And then we made that together. I was like, hey, I have this song. I have all these clips of us that I want to put together. And then he was like, oh, you should put this one in there too.
Yeah. It's pretty special, because the message that's being, you guys just, I'm so excited to see what happens. Talk about pain to passion, hearing how both of you are sharing about your passions and how God's really coming together to turn that into purpose, you know, for sure, to bring inspiration and hope to others through your journey. I'm excited to see how that's going to unfold. Do you feel like you guys are going to work more closely together with your crafts, with your Wyland, with Brittany, as you guys have been doing? You see more coming? That's
the plan. I mean,
you saw he's a stay-at-home dad now. Yeah. So we kind of were talking about that in the future. We just didn't really think it would happen like as soon as it did, but it did. And I don't know, childcare is so expensive, especially when you have 3 kids. Like my daughter's been virtual school, so it's like it's been a lot. And he's worked at the same job for the last 6 years. And hated it. He was miserable, and it was just, he didn't love it. And
then prior to that, was stuck in another office job.
Office job. And I feel so lucky to be able to. I love everything I do. You know, I'm a photographer. I help people get sober. I work for a treatment center. I do hair. I'm a hairstylist. You know, I love all of this. And so when we were married and I did my stay-at-home mom stuff, it was like, I couldn't work, I didn't work in a salon anymore. I felt like, you know, I couldn't really do the things I wanted to do. And so now I'm really happy that I get to do that. And it's totally like, even I think it was a hard thing for him because he's always been like, oh, the man should be the one making the money. Like, you know, you should stay home and take care of our kids because that's how he was raised. But
yeah, it was, and that's something that too, like that I want to like. That it wasn't like it was a spoken thing. It's just what I was acquainted to, like growing up in a household where my dad went to work, and then my mom took care of the kids and did everything at the house, and then it wasn't like that's what you have to do, son. Like that's just okay. That was ingrained in my head. And then my brothers grew up. My sister, you know, grew up being the youngest, seeing everybody, and then the man was the one that went and worked. Okay, like, you know, it's only, you know, it's only natural that your brain would just assume that that's, you know, hardwired. Like, okay, I have to be the one that makes the money. So for a moment there, I felt like a failure. Like I'll be straight up, like, and I had to break that agreement, tell myself like, no, that's not the case. Like.
And I think once I expressed how I felt about that too.
Yeah, and then communicate it with her too. Like, I mean, we kind of dissected that together. And I was like, you don't think less of me, like, because, like, you're making more money. Like, this is when I was, you know, like, because you're making more money than me, like, because it, you know, it was like mind-boggling to me to think of her making more money and not to like be on a pedestal. But the way that she answered, the way that she responded, it was like that didn't even cross her mind. And so this is an issue with me, like my own heart, my own agreement that I'm making, telling me that like I'm a failure, and I'm believing it. Like that's my own issue. I need to break it, reject it, and then behold, here I am today, and stay-at-home dad, just starting. So.
Yeah, but it's been amazing. Like it's a huge help to me, you know, because I was doing everything by myself, and I no joke, I needed a manager, I needed an assistant, I needed a nanny, and like now
you have a husband.
He can help me with my content, and we booked I'm a photographer. I'm a photography company, so I do weddings, and so we'll probably do weddings. We have like 2 quinceañeras coming up we're gonna do together, and I'm thinking about offering, like in my mini session photography sessions I do, like I might just add video in there and raise the prices so people get photo and video, and that way we can do that together. And also, like, I just know what TikTok has done for me. I know it's going to do amazing for him. Like he's already has a really good following. He had a company reach out to him that possibly wants to have him do, oh no, we are going to make this happen.
Look at that.
So this company reached out and they like agreed. I told him a pricing, and I was like, I'd be stoked if I like got paid that much when I only had 30K followers. I told him a pricing. They wanted him to do videos a month, and they like said yes. So, but they're just like.
And they asked for my analytics.
My analytics, and of course his analytics are like 95% female.
Yeah.
But think of all the women that would buy products for their men. I really don't think they're analytics, because it's a men's skincare company is what it is. I don't really think that would be a problem, because I'm sure a lot of men don't actually buy things for themselves. It's their wives that buy it too.
That's right.
But that was just like one thing, you know, and I think there's going to be so many amazing opportunities. So even though he's a stay-at-home dad, you know, I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 6 years, but I've been also working my butt off. So, you know, we're going to just do this together and just kind of see what happens.
I think that's so important to touch on. It's a very common point of friction in marriages and relationships, is that dynamic of who's making more money. And the fact that you're willing to open up and talk so like candidly about it, so honestly about it, and share that you are, you know, against your inner compass, you're staying home and you're learning to accept this way of living, and that it's actually beneficial to both of you and that you're enjoying it. That conversation is so important for people to hear, so they feel the freedom to do the same if that's what works for their family. I really want to know what is next. Like what if there was no obstacles in the way, what do you guys see for your family, for your careers going forward?
Trying to get me pregnant. Just kidding.
Hey, I've seen a little thread through your TikToks there, Brittany. I'm just practicing. Are you having fun practicing? Most of us change each other.
Yeah. All right. Like, oh, we do both really want a baby, but there's been a lot of big things happening, and it's just, you know, we're not going to make any big decisions. Like,
No.
you know, obviously, and now him staying home, we're going to have to see how, you know, my one income, you know, how we adjust with that. We need to find a house together. So we're looking for that. We're going to move in together, and mom's coming with us. So
Ooh, exciting.
Like, I think try it out and plan that out for a year, because we don't need my mom. Like, I don't need her help financially anymore, like I did a year ago when she moved out here. But I am all, me and the kids is all she has out here. You know, she left everything in Wisconsin to come here and start over, and she has a good job here now, and she really likes it. And so we don't have any ties really to California. Like, his family is here, but I don't think things will ever be the same as we used to all be really close. And I just don't think it's all gonna be the same. We really could go wherever and move wherever. You know, what I do, I can do remotely. And so I don't know, just finding a house and seeing how things go with us, spending time, you know, going to therapy, just continuing to work on ourselves, because I don't know, it's been a year and we've done a lot of growth, but there is still, you know, a lot more that we need to do. We got into our first argument the other day. I'm just like, I hate myself. Why am I like that?
I just
like,
FYI, hello, FYI. There's going to be lots. Yeah. I think the biggest, there will be lots. And I remember my husband getting asked one time, you know, with an old man, he went up and goes, "How did you stay married?" And he said, "You know something, what's your name?" He goes, "Dave." He goes, "Dave, it's really simple. I want you to listen up. How I stayed married to this beautiful babe for 65 years is this. Yes, dear." Quote unquote, yes, dear. My husband. Yep. But more importantly, you know, I think when we share about recovery and being with so many people and working with so many people in recovery as I have, it's so common for us to want to just take the easier, softer way and hit the road and just start fresh and say goodbye to the old. And it really takes a lot of work. It takes a really strong foundation and a commitment, you know, to make a decision to recover together. You know, I remember my sponsor at one point told me, he said, "I don't care what the hell you do, just either decide you're going to stay or you're going to leave. I can work with both, but just make a decision to stick to it." And when that decision was made that I wanted to stay, everything just started falling in place. I was really able to focus on recovery, my relationship with God and my marriage and my relationship with him. And, you know, it gets tough. It really does. Over the years, it's a, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, sober is a walk in the park. But so much stuff comes up because we both come in with baggage, right? Like both of you guys have shared how you kind of met. And I'm sure before you met, there was lots of stuff, and that's going to be unraveled. That's what marriage is all about. That's what relationships is all about. And the fact that you guys are coming and talking about it publicly, making it okay to be crazy. You know, I hear you apologizing all the time of how it was. Well, you know, I was told, hey, I was an alcoholic. I was expected to be like that and not, you know myself and act crazy. I mean, that's part of what alcoholism is for me, or addiction, or whatever you want to call it nowadays. What is it called? Alcohol, whatever syndrome, whatever, but whatever it is. But the fact that you guys are coming together is really great. What part, one thing I do want to ask you is, what part do you guys, what's your relationship with your connection with God? Is that separate, or do you guys come together with that, or what your spirituality connection?
I would say right now it's not very connected, right?
No, it's not.
No, it's not, because, you know, okay, so I don't know. I honestly, I have this weird resentment towards religion. I think a lot of it had to do when I was going through a lot of my times, you know, it was when I was, you know, acting crazy, you know, he would call me like the devil. And like, I just had really weird feelings. I got so mad at him one time. I wrote on the Bible. What did I write on your Bible? "You are the devil's here." I was so pissed. Like,
she did, yeah.
And I don't know. So we used to go to church together and everything. We used to pray together. And then, we went through all that. And so since then, I think that'll be kind of still a new journey. Like he's very connected to God. He prays, he does his things in the morning and at night. And I don't do those. Like I believe in God, and I, will pray and, thank God at my own times, but it's not very connected. So I think that's something that, I don't know.
And I know that, if that's the route she eventually chooses to go, I mean, that's not my job. It's my relationship with my creator. And that's all. So, I mean, as far as right now, it's I guess you would say unequally yoked, like, but that's what it is. That's where God's called me, I feel like, to be. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And I live my life, with the firm foundation. I knew, when I started this rebuilding process, I took one, so my walk with God and my faith was always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And when we first separated, it was the first time I really put both feet in, and used him as a foundation for my whole rebuilding process to, again, to restore me, to fix my heart. And because that's what I needed. There was no more me and her and I. So that explains, I guess, I'm no perfect saint, that's for dang sure, but like I have a strong relationship with my Father in heaven.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. I have a very similar story with me and my husband. I kind of stepped into my faith a lot harder when I got sober, and that freaked him the hell out. And so we've had that journey. He's like just started praying with me. I know Suzanne and Dave were both atheists when they came in, and now she's, practicing her faith. Her husband's involved as well. So there's so much healing that can come in that area. I know there's great things to come for both of you. Before we let you go, I'd love to know, Wyland, what do you think your purpose is?
Purpose? Oh, Jesus, this is...
To please me. Just kidding.
Good answer.
What is my purpose? I say, to be, again, it's not my identity, but to be a good father, a good husband, and to use that skill set that I believe God blessed me with, was creating. So, yeah.
And I think to help others, I think our story, like, a lot of these things, I talked about the gaslighting and the narcissism and the emotional abuse, and like the craziest thing is he asked me, I actually was like, I have to record this and I might share it one day, but he straight up asked me, like, what is gaslighting? He had no idea what it even is. And yet I literally explained gaslighting as the story of my life. And so I just think like there's all these behaviors and things that I think if they were talked about more in relationships, and if he would have been aware that what he was doing like that, I think there can be some help, some educating way, in to tell our story. But I don't know. I think that'll come with growth and time, because
we got a long ways to go.
Yeah. Yes.
You guys gonna come back, because we're not gonna let you shake now. You're like part of the Seek Purpose family, and just seeing it's such an important journey that I hope if you have not gone back and listened to the first podcast of Brittany, and then the second one at just after Christmas with her mom, and now today's it's really an incredible journey. And I really want to thank you guys for coming, and we want to hang on, and we want to see what is coming. How you grow. Mm-hmm.
So where can
I just want to say thank you, ladies, so much for having us on here again. Like he was like, when we kind of started talking, I was told him, about all my podcasts. He's like, I would love to do one of those with you. And I was like, yes, we are. I'm sure we will do lots. And you guys are just amazing. And you've been so supportive of me from the beginning, and you just have the biggest hearts. And we're just so thankful for your guys' support. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's been absolutely a blessing to get to know you and be on this journey with you. So thank you for allowing us to be a platform for you guys to share. Is this your first podcast, Wyland?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. We've actually had the honor of popping a lot of podcast cherries, so this is amazing.
We want to keep it.
Where can our audience come and find you guys and get in touch and start following your journey?
Zabo, or my Instagram, which is WT Zabo.
We're gonna
So
switch that though,
SZABO.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Or just at, right along the tags in my videos. It's funny because my content has very much so just switched from, me to like almost everything with him. But it's like, it's so fun, and I think there's a whole, when talking about addiction, I think there's a lot of stuff that he, knows and can share about what he went through, loving an addict that can be helpful and useful to people. And yeah, we're just super, super excited. And we're so thankful, to, have so much support along this crazy, crazy journey of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And always remember, when you see the haters out there, a lot of times when it all comes like that, the miracle and what the real message is, you just got to push past that. Just keep pushing past that. Focus on all the positives as you guys have been doing, because honestly, thank goodness you guys didn't take notice of that negativity and, throw in the towel and say, screw TikTok. And because so many lives have truly been, I'm looking at Facebook right now, there's so many people come on here sharing the love. And I know on your TikToks too, just thank you so much.
We're still on each other's Facebooks.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everybody on Facebook for sharing this live recording with us. If you love what you hear, please share this with your friends. Go head over to Apple Podcasts, give us a review and subscribe. We would love to have you as a part of the Seek Purpose community. And we will be back here next Monday. Bye.
Thanks, guys.